It's Matchday 21 picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US-based and legal in 40 states. Head to cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 10% bonus. And we're brought to you by the SGPN NFL Playoff Challenge, sponsored by Edge Boost. It's free to enter. $20,000 in Edge Boost deposit bonus is up for grabs. Enter today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NFL Playoff. Welcome everybody to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Wednesday, January the 10th. We are here to have a look at half of a Premier League slate of action, Matchday 21, split across 2 weekends, so everyone can have a little winter break, put their feet up for a few days. Joining me from Nottinghamshire is Mr. Barry Penaluna. Barry, hello mate, how are you?
Evening, Malcolm. Yeah, not bad, not bad. It's been a bit of a strange one tonight because you penciled this in for 8:30, didn't you? So first of all,
Yeah, I did.
Apologies for Malcolm's poor planning. If you were here at 8:30, that wasn't meant to happen. If you look at our YouTube banner at the top, it definitely says 10 p.m. I think we have been a bit out of sync over Christmas and New Year. And we struggled.
Yeah, you did try to demonstrate the 10 p.m. by giving me a list of shows that started at 4:15, 11:30, 1:30, 2:30, 6:30. So your defence, Barry, wasn't particularly robust.
You must have only looked at one screen. We have moved from 8:30 to 10 o'clock ages ago. I literally, when Malcolm messages me at 8:35 saying, "Where are you?" I'd literally walked through the door 5 minutes early. I've been to the cinema. I've been out having time with the family. I went to see Wonka.
Any good?
It was good, yeah. It wasn't what I expected. I thought it was just going to be another rewrite of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but it was a completely different story about Wonka when he was younger. So yeah, it was quite good.
Young Wonka.
If you ever want to spend time with a family, Malcolm, there's an idea for you.
Fuck that. No, but I think they've been to see that. Bob didn't like the singing bits. He said there
was a lot of singing.
The film bits were all right, but he wasn't into the singing bits. Well, I'm not a big fan of the old cinema bars, as you very well know. I've seen about 6 films in my life, but that's a story for another day. So yeah, you were an hour and a half late, so that's £96, Barry, in the for next year's Christmas fund. Next year's Christmas party is going to be a belter. That's a right solid start on the 10th of January. Who is in the chat? Harry Doherty, Chelsea fan, is in. Pat, hello Pat, how you doing? Pat might be out walking the dog, or he might be doing something different. Michael is in as well. So if you are lurking, come and say hello. Tonight we'll have a little bit of news and notes. And then we'll get stuck in. There's 5 games over this weekend: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then there's 5 games over next weekend. The Asian Cup and the AFCON, the African Cup of Nations, start this weekend as well. So if you're looking for a bet on them, our last show that we did covers all of them tonight. I have backed the double tonight, Barry. I've done the Nigeria South Korea double. It's 60-1. Oh yes, 60-1.
I'm glad you didn't see the Nigeria Boniface double, because that went
unbelievable. I know. Well, I'm going to get on to how and why I've been so cold at the minute. But even the fact I tipped him up on Sunday night, old Boniface, for Nigeria, and both of his legs fell off the minute I uttered his name. So he's out for 6 weeks. Right, his legs grow back. Just because I completely jinxed him. But yeah, part of we're going to get on to me being terrible in a minute, Baz, because I need to talk it through. But we've got some unfinished business, Barry, that you started over Christmas, and we haven't heard anything about it since. What happened to the Polish cat?
The Polish cat, I think, has now been taken in by the new neighbours who happen to be Polish. What is the chances? So the Polish vacated their house, left the cat, threw it at my mother-in-law and said, "You look after that." She didn't take it in, but she did keep putting food out for it because she felt sorry for it. So she would open the kitchen door and put some food there. It would come and get fed, and then she'd kick it out. We turned up at Christmas, and as she opened the door to let us in, this cat just came from nowhere and ran upstairs. So someone had to go and get it and chuck it out again. But I think some new neighbours moved in. They were Polish, and they seem to have adopted the cat. So I think it's all worked out well in the end. And the cat will be able to understand the new owners because they've got the same Polish language. So
that's what I'm going to say. Yeah, no language barrier. That's a right result, really, for that cat. Good. Pleased to get the bottom of that. Jordan Henderson wants to come back, Barry.
What a tit.
Right, mug of himself, hasn't he? Apparently, he didn't know what Saudi Arabia was going to be like. I'm not the correlation that he's a Mackem and therefore thick, but he's not doing them any favours. He didn't really do his research. He didn't go on TripAdvisor. He should have got a Saudi Arabian cat, maybe. But yeah, Jordan Henderson wants back, but nobody's really interested in him. We'll laugh now. We'll sign for Newcastle, Bars, after all of this. I've seen some rumours about that. Any thoughts on Jordan Henderson?
No, you can fuck off. Stay over there.
He can fuck off. Harry's told that Kurt Zoom and the other cat, which is a very good.
He's got an injunction out on cats. I don't think he's allowed near cats at the moment.
No, he's not. It's frowned upon, isn't it? So yeah, I think that's my my lifestyle covered. Not much been going on this week, Baz. Anything to tell us?
No, very quiet one, really. As I say, being out tonight, bit of family time, once every couple of months or something. You've got to keep up appearances. But other than that, no, not a lot going on.
I need to discuss the fact that I couldn't pick my nose at the minute, Baz. Incredibly cold. So I think I would say 3 weeks now. Came off a losing Premier League weekend, which wasn't terrible, but it was a loser. Then a terrible FA Cup weekend, where I blanked everything. I think I gave out 5 picks and missed the lot. And then 2 AFL Cup semi-finals. One of them finished about 20 minutes ago and missed on both of them, Baz. But I need to talk this through because it's a combination, Barry, of bad picks, which is there's nothing you can do about that. Like you can't get away from that. Okay picks with no luck, which is not ideal. So since we recorded, Wigan, Man United, both teams to score, and Man United dominated most of the game, but I think Wigan did enough. Do you know what I mean? Like they missed a sitter after about 3.5 minutes. Like they missed plenty presentable chances. So I still think that was so making the right pick. So either making the wrong pick or making the right pick, which doesn't hit, or just like bad judgment again. So Liverpool, Fulham tonight. These 2 AFL picks I had written down, both teams to score and over 2.5. Factored in Middlesbrough looking quite lively against Villa. Middlesbrough get the goal. And then Chelsea, what? I tweeted out, as simple as it sounds, Baz, I think Chelsea have just got bad footballers. Like, because I watched that game and they brought on Mudryk and Brodger and Sterling and Cole Palmer, and nothing was fluent. Every pass was half a yard behind. They were controlling it off their knee and running into each other. They never looked like scoring, even though they missed a gazillion chances. So I think the handicap was accurate in that Middlesbrough could be lively. And then I'd also just watched Newcastle dominate Sunderland and score 3 goals. So I thought Chelsea should be somewhere along that lines. Absolutely nothing. I then scribbled out Liverpool v Fulham, both teams to score over 2.5. Live on air, I scribbled that one out and took the Liverpool team total over 2.5. So a combination of all of those things, Barry, and I need to get this show back on the road. So if you got any fatherly
what
advice,
hasn't helped Malcolm is cup football. We haven't been. I mean, I don't know. Okay, in the FA Cup, I did hit the FA Cup backer, and I did hit a few of my picks. More of them hit than didn't. EFL Cup was shite for me. Thought I was all right on the Chelsea game as well. I took second half to be the highest scoring. I mean, 30 minutes in, still 0-0. I'm looking all right. And even when Middlesbrough get the goal in the first half, I'm like you. I'm thinking Chelsea will come back second half. They'll get a couple and we'll cash this. Chelsea were poor. And then tonight for me was a Liverpool handicap, which never really, fair enough. They got up to 2-1 and had chances to get a third. But yeah, poor. But I think the cup football has been hard, particularly the FA Cup. I was very fortunate to land that acca on the FA Cup. As I said at the weekend, the Watford game, 95th minute. Villa game was late. The Spurs game was late. Every pick in there wasn't straightforward. But yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to know what Harry thinks as a Chelsea fan. You just can't trust them at all. Like, and we'll get onto them tonight because we've got them at the weekend. But I was watching, for example, Sterling last night, and the reason was because I had a bet builder and everything else hit. Cole Palmer shots, Madueke shots, and the last thing I was waiting, all I needed was one more shot from Sterling, just a shot. Didn't even have to be on target, and he was just totally out of the game for large chunks of it. And he reminded me of how Rashford's been playing this season. There was no movement off the ball. He was throwing his arms in the air when nothing came to him. And he just, like, his body language looked poor. I don't know. I don't know what to make of Chelsea. They're a funny old team at the minute. Very difficult to work out.
Yeah. I mean, and the final, I've got sort of bad judgment written down here as well, because like getting away from the football, like I said to you, I messaged you last Wednesday about the Giants, New York Giants, and I fancied those and the Raiders. And having picked out two bets, I've still somehow managed to not win from them. Do you know what I mean? Because I had them in with the bleeding Patriots, which I didn't realise was the snow game and all that shit. So even the things I've been picking, I'm struggling to win with. So when you're cold, it's all different types of cold. Like, it's not just I'm making bad picks. I'm not winning with the good ones and then can't catch a break with some of the others. So all combinations are cold. So we need to turn that round, Baz. We're going to turn that round this evening. This, Barry, I thought was really, really hard as well. To the point where I started to costing strangers yesterday. Just like I would pass away to the shit. I'd sound Burnley Luton. And like, just trying to get a beat off someone. I like something. And Bob went to football. I was like, Bob, Everton Villa? And he was like, oh, fucking hell, that's a hard one. I was like, yeah, you're right, it is a hard one. And then I went to play five-a-side. I brought Tiger back. So we started talking about Newcastle Man City. And we're going to get to that game in a little while. But everything in my mind contradicted everything that was in black and white on the screen. Do you know what I mean?
I've done the same thing. There's so many things where I had something in my head and then you find something to contradict it, particularly on that Newcastle game. Obviously, we'll get to it when we get to the games. The rest of them, though, I mean, I've taken a similar approach to them all. You'll see what I mean in a bit. But yeah, they are tough games, but there's an easy way to deal with that.
Because we started a couple of weeks ago saying this is like an overs league, it's an overs division, and I'm sitting here with 3 unders out of the 5 games in different guises. Just like, honestly, second guessing myself, Bastard. It's one of those things with not being able to pick a couple of winners. So
we're going to be on the opposite side of everything tonight, Malcolm.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we'll see. I'll see what you can talk me into, because the worst thing I can do is change my mind at the minute. I suppose I'm still performing a service and that everyone can just fade the bollocks clean off everything that comes out of my mouth. So, I mean, there's definitely a system there. Courtney is here. If it's not Patrick, I think it might be Courtney. Hey, Courtney, how are you? And Tottenham Titbits. I'm not going to repeat that first bit, although I giggled at it. Hello, mate. How are you? New name in the YouTube comments. Is that one of your TikTokers, Baz? Your TikTok still flying?
Could be. Yeah, we're getting a lot more people coming over from there at the moment. I don't recognise the name. I know Michael and Harry from over there, but yeah, probably from that way, I would suspect.
Fair enough. Right then, let's make some picks. Let's get these little lads out of the way first. We've got the SGPN Playoff Challenge. Very proud to announce this. Edge Boost. It's the first bet now, play later provider that enables you to double your bet at any sportsbook or DFS site with no interest. Contest is bankroll style. You start with 10,000 virtual units. At the end of the playoffs, the biggest bankroll will win credit into higher advanced limits from Edge Boost. So the top 3 get a deposit match up to $2,500. And the top 25 get a deposit match from Edge up to $500 with no interest fee. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NFL playoff. And we have got game time to tell you about as well. Helping you get tickets nice and cheap and without any hassle. Sport, music, comedy, theatre, killer deals, best price guarantee. You get the game time, will credit you 110% of the difference if you can find any tickets in the same section or row for less. So snag the tickets without the stress. It's perfect for the playoffs. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem the code CFBX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Right, okay. We have got a game on Friday night, which was originally on Monday, but because of FA Cup replays, they pulled it back to Friday night. On paper, it's not the most exciting game, but something's going to happen. There's going to be a winning bet in here somewhere. 7:45 UK time, 2:45 Eastern time, between Burnley and Luton. Burnley are 9-10, -111. The draw is 12-5. In fact, that's drifted a little bit. 13-5, +260. The draw, and Luton Town are 3-1. Burnley are 19th in the league. They've still only won 3 games, and 2 of those were against the other 2 relegated, promoted teams. So they beat Sheffield United, and they won this reverse fixture. They won it 2-1 back on the 3rd of October. They did get the first win against a non-promoted team when they turned Fulham over 2-0 over Christmas. And they've been a little bit better lately. I think the 3-2 defeat at Villa was unfortunate, but again, is that the sign of just a bad team? Liverpool was a tough game, and then they went and won at Fulham. So they got a draw Brighton as well. So there's been signs of life from Burnley, I would say. Luton are in 18th, 1 place above them. They have won 2 of the last 3. And there's still goals everywhere. In these Luton games, 6 of the last 7 have gone over 2.5, and 4 of those 6 have gone over 3.5. I think it's really hard to take a side. Tottenham Titbits is going under 1.5 goals in the first half. It might be cagey. I like both teams to score, Barry. It's a reasonable price. It's 4-5, -125. Like I say, goals everywhere in this Luton game. Burnley been better lately in good versus these promoted teams. A 1-1 draw wouldn't surprise me here. But I'll take, both teams to score is going to be the play. 4-5, -125, Pat.
Yeah, so I actually backed Burnley in the away leg at Luton when they won 2-1. At a good price as well. So I backed Burnley at just about the only game they won in the first 10. So that was one of my successes this season. But I still can't get my head around Burnley being odds on here. 19-20 is a bit short for me. They've lost 7 of the last 10 Premier League games. And they've lost 3 in a row if you include the FA Cup game at the weekend. Their games have gone under 2.5 in 5 of the last 6 as well. So that leans towards the unders for me. But as you say, Burnley have improved ever so slightly in the last couple of months. There's been a bit more. They've picked up 7 of their 11 points in December alone. So they picked up more points in December than they have across the rest of the season combined. But Luton have also improved. It's not always shown in the results, but the performances are getting better. They picked up 2 wins in December as well. And they've won 3 of their last 7 in the league. And that's in a run where they've played Chelsea, Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City. So winning 3 of 7 in a run that includes them sort of fixtures is some good form. They were disappointed at the weekend in the FA Cup in that draw against Bolton. But But the same can be said against a lot of teams. You look at Spurs were disappointing, Villa were disappointing, got the results. But there was a load of Premier League teams who didn't put up a particularly overwhelming display. Burnley did win the reverse fixture, but there was very little between the two teams at the time. And I think this tie is very close. Certainly closer than the books have got it. And therefore, I have to take Luton, 14-5. Or it's 14-5 is the price. I just think it's a big price. I've got the two teams closer than this. I wouldn't want Burnley at evens. Maybe you're right. Maybe the draw is the better way to go. But for me, I think Luton are good value here. I'm going to take Luton to beat Burnley at 14-5.
I agree with you, Baz. If you gave me a £20 note and asked me to back one of these two teams, I'd take Luton at the prices. Absolutely. Maybe, like I say, I'm running a little bit scared and the both teams to score option. But as a side, if I had to pick a side, Luton Town out of the two would be the one. Brett Pund, if you remember, Brett helped us preview Newcastle Fulham a few weeks ago. Brett's a Fulham fan. Newcastle drew Fulham in the FA Cup, which means Brett gets to come back on the show in a few weeks' time. He says he's quite happy with a 2-1 defeat, which is fair enough. I think what Fulham had to do tonight was just not get spanked, was be alive. He's staying alive is the name of the game. And they go back with a chance. And they didn't miss some chances at 1-0. There was just a miscontrol when the lad was clean through and a couple of breakaways. But I think 2-1 was fair, but it could have been a little bit better for Fulham. But yeah, absolutely staying alive. Michael Roberts is going for Luton or the draw. Yeah, covering both the options there. And Harry Doherty's gone for Alfie Doherty. Is that just for you playing the name game there, Harry? Or Alfie Doherty? He's a good player, this Alfie Doherty. He's got a little bit about him. Over 1.5 tackles at 5-6. And going up the ladder a bit as well, we've got a tackles ladder on Alfie Doherty. Over 2.5. 12-5 plus 240. Next game, and I changed my mind on this next game a million times in the last 24 hours because we've seen both teams play. It's really, really hard. Chelsea take on Fulham. This is Saturday lunchtime, 12:30 kickoff, 7:30 Eastern time. Chelsea 3-5, -166. The draw is 14-5 plus 280. Is that right? No, it draws out to plus 320. And Fulham are 17-4 plus 425, Barry. Tricky.
It is tricky because, as I said before, Chelsea are very hard to predict. As are Fulham, because Fulham had gone through an absolutely great streak of form at one point, then hit that slide where they went 3 games without scoring a goal. Then they come back and beat Arsenal. Then they put up a good effort tonight against Liverpool. So two teams that are just hard to predict at the moment. Just 2 clean sheets. Just 1 clean sheet in the last 10 for Chelsea was what stood out for me. They're not keeping many clean sheets. That clean sheet came against Sheffield United as well. But it's also the number of wasted chances, isn't it? Last night they did spurn tons of chances. We know Jackson's been poor in front of goal. He's gone off to AFCON now. We'd thought Nkunku might come back and make a difference. He's now got injured again, which is a blow for them. They need Palmer to be firing. Madueke looks a decent player, but again, he's burned a few chances last night as well. And I just don't know how confident I am in that forward three of Sterling, Madueke and Palmer. Having seen them last night, struggle to get past Borough. So the first point for me, I look at the betting and I think, how are Chelsea 3-5 here? I can't have that price. It's very similar to the first game. I just think the prices are a bit too far apart. They've won 3 of the last 4 games, but their wins against Palace, Luton and Sheffield United. Fulham are a bit better than all of those. They did also beat Fulham in the reverse fixture, so that's a tick in the box for Chelsea. And Fulham have been in a bit of a slump lately, as I said, but I think that ended with that really good win against Arsenal and haven't disgraced themselves tonight. 3-5 Chelsea is just not for me. If you want to take this play safer, take double chance Fulham. You can get Fulham to win or draw at a reasonable price, probably around evens. But the pick for me, I'm taking Fulham. I think Fulham are a great price as an underdog. 17-4, plus 425. This was before tonight's game, and then to take the 1-0 lead, and I'm sort of even more happy with what I was saying at that point. The pick for me, I just think the Fulham price is too big. Having seen the way they played against Arsenal, I think they're more than capable of beating this Chelsea side. Chelsea to lose to Fulham, 17-4.
Dogs a bargain, Baz. 2 for 2. He fancies Luton. He fancies Fulham. Two head-scratching teams. We did see Chelsea struggle against the low block, and once Middlesbrough got in front, Chelsea did struggle. Their players struggled as well, and they've only won 4 out of 10 home games in the league, so you just can't back them. I don't want to back them, but you can't back them at that price either. Like I say, missing Nkunku, they're going to play with the false 9 again. They're going to give Brodger a run out. They were just so unconvincing last night, but Fulham were all right tonight, but we did kind of do this Fulham. They can be all right and still get beat. We saw it 4-3 at Liverpool. We saw them play quite well tonight and get beat. They played quite well at Newcastle and got beat last month as well. The last 3 away games, they lost 4-3 at Liverpool, but the last 2 they've lost 3-0 both times. It's just hard, and then they throw out a 2-1 home win against Arsenal. So it's really, really tricky. I thought Fulham defended okay tonight, and I think Marco Silva's got a little bit about him, and he'll be fully aware that Chelsea struggle with this low block. So I think they'll be slightly less adventurous. We saw quite a similar comp game not too long ago when Chelsea lost 2-0 at home to Brentford, Baz. So this is purely on the eye test, because if you look down Chelsea's record, there's been goals everywhere until this Middlesbrough game. And Fulham are just really, really hard. But I think Fulham can defend quite well, and they're going to try and sit in and frustrate Chelsea. I'm going to go with under 2.5, Baz. It's a big price. It's 13-10, plus 130. The 1-1 is a possibility. I wouldn't put you off the 0-0, to be honest. Or like you say, Fulham could go nick it on the break, just like Brentford did at Chelsea. But I don't feel great about it. Like I say, I ended up with 3 unders from these 5 games. But I'll take under 2.5 at 13-10, plus 130. Alex Cordero has joined the chat. He's looking for a save ladder. He says the save ladder has been profitable. So give us one, Alex. Give us more than one throughout.
Michael's already put one out above. Michael Roberts loves the save ladder as well. So he's put out the Leno, however you want to say it, save ladder. Over 3.5 Leno saves in this one. 10-11, and then upwards from there. 9-4 for 5 saves, 9-2 for 6 saves, and 10-1 for 7 saves.
Okay, Burnt Leno, get up. He made loads of saves tonight. He'd have been right up there on that save ladder. Every time I looked at the laptop, he was tipping one over the bar. He did a lot of that tonight. We got a new sponsor here, Baz. Cut, Kutt, peer-to-peer social betting. We have that in this country, but it's quite new to the Americans. US-based, legal in 40 states. You can bet against your friends or other users on sports, politics, pop culture, other events. Loads of social features as well. Kutt offers low vig and fully customizable odds. You can create your own bets. Kutt handles the payment side of things, so you don't have to chase anyone down for your winnings. Group chats, betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, all sorts of things. So Kutt is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US-based. Head to kutt.com. That's KUTT.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. And Underdog Fantasy, great way to play alongside all your favourite fantasy players, NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball and football. Pick higher or lower on your favourite players' fantasy stats and cash in. Watch along, make your picks, make a little cash on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. Use the code SGPN and we will double your first deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. Saturday tea time is another hard one. Newcastle take on Manchester City. Still looking for I need Mafia will reunite to get back in touch, Baz. I don't know if he's going to listen to this or he's got a way of getting in touch because he's across for the game. and wanted to go for a pint. And I'm bang up for it, Mafia. So give us a shout if you hear this. Twitter, somewhere like that. Stick a comment on YouTube or let me know. Newcastle here are 9-2 plus 450. The draw is Burlington Bertie 100-30 plus 333. Manchester City, are 11-20 minus 181. So this is what I was just firing questions at Tiger last night, trying to get someone to tell me something that was going to point me in a direction. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, honestly, really, really hard. Newcastle got that much needed easy win at Sunderland last week, and it was much needed because our league form's been absolutely terrible. 1 win and 5 defeats. And that win came when Fulham had a man sent off after 20-something minutes, so it was kind of gifted to us. So you kind of instantly looking to maybe fade Newcastle, but then in black and white, you look at the home form and it says 1-8, lost 2. They're getting healthier as well. Some of the players are coming back. Absolute key for me here is Joe Linton missing. Just the type of player he is in this type of game, the physicality, because Joe Linton's going to be out and they're going to play 17-year-old Lewis Miley, who's been absolutely brilliant. But I just think this type of game, the drop-off is going to be absolutely marked. Like, Manchester City is starting to go through the gears a little bit. I think they're looking to put a run together now. Kind of trademark fashion. They come back from the World Club Cup. And they've won a couple of games. Kevin De Bruyne is back. Don't know quite how match fit he is, whether he'll start or he'll get another half an hour off the bench. Haaland's only 25% likely to play here as well. Again, I've gone counterintuitive, Baz. Newcastle lost to Manchester City early in the season. Second game of the season, I think. Manchester City won 1-0. Comparison games up here. Newcastle won, Arsenal 0. I don't know why I always put Man United in as a comparison game. But they're not. They're a comparison to Rotherham or some other shit. I think it's just a name. I need to train that name out of my head because that's right. But we beat Manchester United 1-0. We beat Manchester City 1-0 in the League Cup. And Newcastle can defend properly. They're very capable of defending properly. It's going to be a first choice back four of Trippier, Shaw, who's the other centre back, Botman, and either Burn or Tino will play left back. So first choice. With them missing Haaland as well, I'm back on the unders train, Baz. Newcastle will be playing on the break. I don't think we'll have that much possession. I think the under 2.5 goals is good again. 5-4 plus 125, Baz.
Yeah, so it is a tricky one. There's a couple of picks coming out. Alex fancies over 2.5 and both teams to score in this one, which goes against you. Michael Roberts is putting out Bruno Guimaraes over 2.5 fouls. Thinks it's a good price at 11-4. Bruno Guimaraes, actually, Malcolm, what I noticed recently is he's more likely to get fouled than he is to commit a foul. Okay. He's averaging, I think he averages about 1.5 fouls per game at the moment. But fouls drawn, I'm sure he's something like 2.5. 2.74 fouls gained. He's actually the second most fouled player in the league, Bruno Guimaraes. So if you're looking for those bet builders and looking for things like that, fouls drawn for Guimaraes, he's brilliant at just getting his body in front of a player and just picking up a cheeky little foul. So yeah, one to keep an eye out on Guimaraes. He's getting fouled almost three a game. First things first on this game, I think we have to remember Newcastle are in a bad patch of form at the moment. The win against Sunderland doesn't change that. 3 defeats in a row in the league and just 1 win in 8 games before the Sunderland games. Most concerning is defensive form, which obviously doesn't go with what you're saying, but I see some of your arguments. Everton and Forest put 3 past us. Spurs and Liverpool put 4 past us. Liverpool could have had 7 or 8. Now, 3 of those 4 games were away from home. So you sort of, you can take that. We do have better form at home, I know that. But the way we fell apart against Forest is still a concern for me, as I say. The Sunderland game was a brilliant result for us, but it doesn't paper over those cracks. I've still got that bit of concern in my head. City seem to have came out the other side of their own mini slump. They've had back-to-back wins in the league and a comfortable win at the weekend, as well as the World Club Cup success, if you consider that relevant in any kind of way. But I did struggle. I struggled to make a case for Newcastle. I certainly couldn't back them to win it, but it is the sort of game where Newcastle could make life difficult. As you've mentioned, the last 3 games now between these two sides have gone under 2.5 goals. The last 2 were 1-0. Newcastle were unlucky not to win this fixture last year. They were 3-1 up before City came back to take it 3-3. So we do have history in the last year to 18 months of making a game of these. But then I think back, so this is where I have these sort of contrasts. And no, Newcastle could do all right here. And then you think back to the Liverpool game, which was just 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And if City go out and attack us in the same way Liverpool did, you could see us conceding a hatful again. Trend for unders in those head-to-head games. I look at that and I think, do I go unders like you have? And then you think Newcastle's last 5 games have seen 19 goals in the 5 games. And every trend I found here, I came across another stat to counter it. That, like you said at the start, it's very difficult games and a lot of that sort of stuff going on. So I have went very different. I went off-piste with something completely different, not been seen before, I don't think, on this show. And it's shots, Malcolm. Shots, total shots, and City team total shots, to be specific. Man City averaged 17 shots on goal per game. They've had at least 18 shots in each of their last 4 league games. And you can get evens for them to have 16 shots on goal. That's not on target. That's just shots from anywhere. Over 15.5 City shots at evens. As I say, they've hit 18 in each of the last 4 games. So potential for a little bit of a ladder there. Let's have a look at what the prices are going up the ladder. For some reason, they don't have 16.5 priced up. Goes up in 2s. So you can get 2-1 for 17.5 and 130 for 19.5. Newcastle give up about 14 per game across the season. But in recent weeks, if you discount the Sunderland game, in recent weeks, Newcastle have been giving up closer to 20 shots per game, skewed a little bit by Liverpool, who had about 30, I think. But I just think the City side of it, it's a different bet. It's a different way of playing it, but I've decided to go somewhere different. So I am going for City over 15.5 shots at evens. But as got a bit of chatting there about keeper saves earlier, and that could be another way of playing it. If you do fancy City to have 15, 16, 17 shots in this game, then how many of them are Dubravka going to save? Obviously, some of them will be off target, so you won't need to save them. But you get Dubravka saves market as well. I think I saw Dubravka saves was around the 4 mark. Yeah, so 11-10 for over 3.5 Dubravka saves. 5-2 for him to have 5 saves. And 11-2 for Dubravka to have 6 saves. So another way of playing it, if you do fancy plenty of City action, Dubravka saves could be another way of playing it. We've seen him have an absolute blinder against Liverpool. I think he had 10 saves in total in that game. And Newcastle average about 4 games. So another way of playing it could be that. But I'm sticking with my City shots. But definitely the goalkeeper saves ladder would be another one I would potentially consider in this one.
Yeah, I love that, Baz. It's a good angle because, like I say, I was struggling for an angle and you've got to be creative. And that's exactly what you've done. Coisty has joined us. Hello, mate. They love the ladder, Baz. Coisty and Michael Roberts. We got save ladders. We got shots ladders. Get up the ladder, Baz. Right, okay. Next up is where are we going? Sunday lunchtime. 2 o'clock lunchtime, I think it is. Everton take on Aston Villa. Everton are 9-5 plus 180. Draws 23-10 plus 230. Aston Villa 13-9 plus 145. Barry.
Yeah, so we'll start with Everton, who are another team who've had a change in fortunes recently. Michael's an Everton fan, so we'll get his thoughts on this one. Everton had that little purple patch, 4 wins in a row. They won 5 in 6. They're now without a win in 5 in all competitions. Bonus for them, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is available, having successfully appealed against that ridiculous red card. Yep. How ridiculous is that? that you have a red card given by a VAR check and a pitch side review, and then they look at it 2 days later and say, oh, that shouldn't have been a red card. How was VAR thought it was a red? The ref looked at all of those angles and thought it was a red. And yet everybody else is sitting there saying, that's not a red card. And then, 2 days later, 5 days later, whatever it is, oh yeah, we got that wrong. Absolute shambles. Like, that's twice this season they've had to overturn a red card that was given by VAR. They've done it with McAllister early in the season as well, didn't they, in the Liverpool game. Yeah, shambles that is. Anyway, Villa themselves have started to show some signs of vulnerability lately, I think. I think Borough made them work hard for it in the FA Cup. Before that, they needed a late penalty and what I thought was a very harsh penalty in injury time to get past Burnley. Lost to Man United, drew with Sheffield United. So they've had a little bit of a drop-off. They've conceded in each of the last 4 games, both teams to scores being good in the last 4 games for Villa. And both teams to scores also hit in 3 of the last 4 Everton games. So both teams to score was a bit of a starting point for me here. If I had to take a lean either way, turn your mic. Can you mute your thing while I'm talking, Malcolm? Because I'm getting a bit of feedback there. If I had to take a bit of a lean either way, I would probably lean towards Everton again as the underdog. Villa are top of the home form table. If you take just their home games in isolation, they would be top of the league. But they're down in 7th on away form. The away form isn't as good. Villa did win the home game between these two sides, 4-0. But Everton were at their lowest at that time. They have improved since. And they did beat Villa more recently in the EFL Cup. I said both teams to score was doing well lately. I think both teams to score is a good starting point, but it's slightly short. So I'm going to tag on the over 2.5. I'm going to take both teams to score and over 2.5 goals here at even money. Michael's in there with the same pick, our Everton fan. He says Doucouré is back. I told you a couple of weeks ago, Michael had said to me the biggest problem for Everton during that sort of bleak spell has been Doucouré. And if he's back this weekend, that'll increase their chances. Villa is an underdog on. Everton is an underdog on. A bad pick at all as well this week.
No, it's really, really close. It's that classic thing of the slightly worse team at home, and which kind of balances it out a little bit. And it's close on the books. I think the books have got it just about right. The main concern for me with Everton was that poor result at Wolves last time. That was a really, really bad one because it looked like they'd stopped doing that. And I was surprised that they still had that in them. However, the Doucouré thing looks like it's pretty genuine in terms of how important he is. So if he wasn't playing, that would explain why they would throw that one in. And I don't mind Wolves at all. But Everton still have only won 3 out of 10 at home. So it's hard for you to want to take them. Against Villa, who were a good side, they're sitting second in the league. Like, no real patterns with Everton on the both teams to score or the under 2.5. So like we say, Aston Villa second. But the recent form has dropped off a little bit. 3-2 scraped past Burnley, dodgy late penalty. Blew a 2-0 lead at Manchester United, which was a pretty poor show, really. And then they got a fairly lucky 1-1 home draw against Sheffield United. So they've only won 4 of their 10 away from home. So between the two of them, Everton have won 3, Villa have won 4. So it is quite hard to pick a side. I'm going to take the draw, Barry. The draw is a 23-10 plus 230. And I also believe, Barry, this is going to finish 1-1. It's the one.
You failed us there, Malcolm. There was no music.
What happened to the music?
You didn't play any music, Malcolm.
Hang on. I know why. I danced as well. Here we go.
I saw you. Put it on now and I'll edit it.
A goal.
Yeah, I heard it that time.
Right. We let it for the podcast people. They'll never know the difference.
They won't know the difference, Barry. You've got to be a completist, an SGPN Premier League completist to get all that sort of stuff. So there we go. 1-1, 6-1. Right, one more game to cover. I'll tell you about Hall of Fame bets. Helping you win bigger, bet smarter this NFL season. Hall of Fame Bets is the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research NFL, NBA, and soccer bets with historical stats and data. Put your parlays into the Parlay Optimizer. It'll break down your hit rates by leg, give you expected probabilities, who's hot, who's not, etc. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use the code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Finally, Sunday afternoon, 4:30, 11:30 Eastern Time, Manchester United take on Tottenham Hotspur. Manchester United are 5-4, plus 125. The draw is at 13-5, plus 260. Tottenham are at 2-1. Finally, Barry, the game which I found a little bit easier to handicap. Tottenham have signed Dragisin. Is it Radi Dragisin? Lad from Genoa, Romanian centre-back. Young lad, interest from Munich. Don't know much about him. Don't know if he'll get a game here. Probably a little bit quick. But yeah, good signing there for Tottenham. Manchester United, 1 win in 5 in the league, which was that 3-2 comeback win against Aston Villa. Really should have been locked up. And then the only other little tick in a box is the 0-0 they got at Liverpool that day when they parked the bus. So really, they're the only competitive performances they've put up. And against top sides, or against top half sides, sorry, not even top sides, they have struggled. They lost 3-1 at home to Brighton. They lost 3-0 at home to Manchester City. Tottenham won't change now. They are going to be missing Son. He's off to the Asian Cup. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. But they've won 4 of 5 and they've scored in doing so 4, 2, 2, 2 and 3. So plenty goals around. They're scoring 2.2 goals per game away from home and conceding 1.6 goals per game away from home. As a result, the books are on to those goals markets. Both teams to score and the over 2.5. They're both north of 1-2, minus 200. So you'd have to be brave to take that. I nearly bottled it, Baz, and went for the cards market. And I do like the cards market. I looked into the numbers. I think Tottenham's kind of mad style of play really isn't conducive to Manchester United, who were very, very slow. The pedestrian, like we joked last week about Amrabat not being able to move. McTominay looks like he's towing a caravan. So I think there's some cards to be had here. I think this could be a bit of a shootout, a bit of a basketball match. So you're going to get lots of those ones for breaking down breakaways and stuff like that, little shirt tugs and ankle taps. 5.5 cards over 5.5 is 9-10, minus 111. But I have to back Spurs 2-1. Plain and simple, quite considerably the better team, Barry. 2-1 Tottenham. You're on mute, Ticket. Edit that out as well when you're on.
Yeah, this has been terrible, hasn't it? For the YouTube listeners, it'll be seamless for the rest, but never mind. Shambles tonight. Neither team came out of the FA Cup wins particularly easily. Man United were bang average against Wigan. They had to resort to diving to put the game to bed in the second half. And Spurs needed a late goal to overcome Burnley. Penalty for Bruno Fernandes, Malcolm. You having that? It's a dive, isn't it?
What's it?
You're on mute, dickhead.
I just fucking unmuted myself. No, it's not a penalty at all. And what's annoying me about this whole thing is all of a sudden the word contact's back because at Liverpool against Newcastle last week. But there was contact. Well, there's not contact. Contact is not a foul. Where does it say contact's a foul? The offence is
just going to be my point, because there's just, and commentators are saying it, and therefore everybody on social media says it. Well, he did touch him, so it was a penalty. It doesn't work like that. And you can go back and you can look at the beginning of last season. The referee said they were going to make a conscious effort to consider the amount of contact and whether it was enough to influence what's happened. And the fact of the matter is, the Diaz one, the Jota one, the Villa one against Burnley, and the Bruno Fernandes one, every one of them could have stayed on their feet. There wasn't enough contact to justify them going down, and not enough for it to justify a penalty. But they'll give them every week now because they've set the stall out. They've set that as the limit. If you touch someone, how many times do we see at a corner players with their arms wrapped around each other?
Yeah.
How much more does that impede a player than what the foul was in those situations? It's so much more difficult for a striker there than if you get the slightest clip on a toe or whatever. I mean, Fernandes gets clipped on his toe, he goes down holding his shin. He's an absolute shithouse, like. But they're going to keep giving them every week now, and it's a shambles because they did set the stall out.
Fulham's goal tonight, Baz? No, you were Willy Wonka, weren't you?
No, I was Willy Wonka, and I
was. It all happened pretty quick. But Willian could have gone down twice before he slotted. He sort of got it. Oh, sorry, I think it was maybe Jimenez or someone got across Van Dijk, who gave him the arm on the shoulder. He stayed up, and I was going fucking go down. He then knocks it into Willian, who skips past the defender. And again, he could have gone down, and I've got my head in my hands, and then he slots. He manages to slot, which I was happy with. But the offence is tripping or attempting to trip an opponent, or kicking or attempting to kick an opponent. Now, you know how to trip someone up, Baz. You could trip me up, no problem. I could come down there now and trip you up, or I could kick you. But if your shin grazes my foot, that's not a foul. You haven't kicked me or tripped me up. We've just touched each other. So yeah, it's absolute horseshit, Baz. I hate the whole thing.
Anyway, where were we? Manchester Spurs.
No idea. Tottenham 2-1.
Yeah, Spurs had a bit of a struggle, haven't they? I think we need to look beyond the FA Cup. Look at the league form. Spurs had struggled a little bit with injuries. Maddison, Van de Ven, Romero, suspension, all of that. But they've came back, 4 wins in the last 5. Man United, on the other hand, 1 win in the last 5. Romero might be back this weekend. I'd imagine the new bloke won't be available. They've signed Timo Werner as well, Malcolm. You never mentioned that one. I don't know if that's...
I like him, Baz.
Confirmed now.
Do you know what? I'm going to slot him straight in with fucking Darwizzy. They're my 2 favourite strikers in the league. They're right up my street. Do loads of stuff and never, ever, ever score. How Darwin didn't score tonight was absolutely incredible. Yeah, Werner. Put him on the list. I like him.
We say this every week about Darwin. Well, you say it every week. I keep telling you shite. They won't have Son. Son's off to Asia Cup now. Papi Sarr's another one missing. So they are missing a few. But I just think Man United are devoid of any confidence at the moment. I thought Højlund might have improved once he got off the mark, but he was back as usual at the weekend. Should have scored 3.
Couldn't find his arse with both hands, him like.
Yeah, he's garbage. He's up there with Darwin Núñez and Timo Werner. Rashford body language still looks terrible, not interested. Anthony's apparently injured now. I don't know whether they just say that every time they've had enough of him and they want to bin him for a couple of weeks. He keeps getting ill or injured. To be honest, Anthony being injured is probably a good thing. The jury's still out on Garnacho for me. I find him very inconsistent. One week I think he looks brilliant, and the next week I just think, nah. So I'm not really sure there. I just think you've got to go back to the form. 1 win in 5 Man United against 4 wins in 5 Spurs. And Spurs are the underdogs. This is another one where I just can't correlate the odds with my thinking on the game. You have to favour Spurs here. Underdog once again, definitely is the direction. But I'm going a little safer. I'm taking the Spurs team total. As you say, there might be goals at both ends. Might be a bit of a wild one. Man United have let in 9 in the last 5. Even when they beat Villa, they conceded 2. Only Liverpool failed to score against them. So they have conceded 2 or more in 4 of the last 5 games. And Spurs have scored 2 or more in all of their last 5. Even in defeat to Brighton, Spurs managed to get 2. I actually took Spurs team total in that game. Brighton go 4-0 up. I think I'm dead. And Spurs come and get their 2 goals. So I'm going to stick with that. Over 1.5 Spurs goals at evens is the pick for me. Nice. I don't mind your 2-1 for them to win as well. I think it's a good price. I just think if I want to go a little bit safer, the team total over 1.5 Spurs goals for me.
Okay, nice, like that, Baz. Right, okay, that is 5 games handicapped. We've done 5 games in the time it normally takes us to do 10 games, Baz. So I don't know what's going on there. Although we spent
we'll talk for an hour, won't we? Let's be honest.
That is true. What's Pat throwing out here? Spurs to win, Spurs over 1.5. Yeah, cash money, Pat. Cash waiting. So fancy stuff, Barry. The whole world is waiting for your accumulator, so we'll let them wait. We'll throw out mine first. People, you can do. The sound of people not picking their pens up is deafening. My accumulator, Barry, for this weekend, it's both teams to score a 3-timer, Baz. Burnley Luton, Chelsea Fulham, and Everton Villa. That is 3.7 to 1, plus 370. So not hugely exotic, but I need a winner. My underdog has to be Tottenham at 2 to 1. And for a goal scorer, I'm going to go with Richarlison to take over duties as the top man at Tottenham with Heung-min Son away in Qatar. 6 to 1, first and last goal, Richarlison is. And 7 to 4, plus 175 to score at any time, Barry.
Well, I'll kick off with my scorer because I've also gone with Richarlison. As you say, scored 5 in his last 6. 7 to 4 anytime, 6 to 1 first goal. So the scorer is a team ride on Richarlison. My underdog of the week, I could have took me pick from any of these, Malcolm. Luton at 14 to 5, I'm going to go with, is my underdog of the week pick. And in terms of the ACCA, it's a bit different this week because we've only got 5 games to choose from. So feeling the pressure a bit. I've really found it hard to come up with a treble. So I'm starting off with a double. It's a team total double of Fulham to score 2 or more and Spurs to score 2 or more. 6 to 1 for the double. Fulham to put 2 past Chelsea, Spurs to put 2 past Man United. Easy, 6 to 1. And then we'll add in Luton to score 2 against Burnley, 20 to 1 for the treble. So a bit different to usual because we've got less games. So team total double, Fulham Spurs to score 2 or more at 6 to 1. Stick in Luton for a treble to make it 20 to 1. And I've got some big parlays for you here, Malcolm. Some because I've looked at every single one of these games tonight, and my first thought is the underdog's got a chance in every single one of them. No one's massively surprised if Spurs beat Man United, Luton beat Burnley, Fulham beat Chelsea, Everton beat Villa. None of them are a big shock. Arguably, Newcastle beating Man City would be a surprise, but we've seen them compete with them at home before. So I'm just putting some ideas out, Malcolm. All 5 underdogs this week is 920 to 1. Take the City game out if you want. Take the other 4. Just take the City game. If you don't think Newcastle do their part, fair enough. But the other 4 have all got a chance. 166 to 1 for Everton, Fulham, Luton, and Spurs. 166 to 1. Or if you want to go a little bit safer again, you could go all 5 underdogs on the double chance market, so to win or draw. So you're sticking Newcastle back in, but you're covering the draw in each of the games as well. 25 to 1 for all 4 of those underdog on the double chance. Or again, if you drop the City game out, you can get that at 10 to 1, double chance for the other 4. I just think the underdogs have got potential. Like, they're good prices. You could stick them in a Yankee or round robin, as they call it over there. Good price underdogs. A few of them might hit this week. Let's have a little sprinkle on some of the big money stuff. I'll also have, because there's less Premier League, I'll have more EFL stuff and things like that this weekend. But I'll put that out in the usual socials.
The crowd are going absolutely wild, Baz, for that 920 to 1. Everyone in the chat buzzing. Oh, yeah, I love that, Baz. You're right, though. Absolutely. It wouldn't come in as a shock. Like you say, if 3, 4, or 5 of them got over the line. So could be one of those weekends to go absolutely wild. I think that's just done, Barry. 20 seconds before that hour. Anything you want to add before we get going?
No, I'm going to go out and commit some skullduggery now, Malcolm. I've got a confession to make about my nocturnal activities on a Wednesday night.
I have no idea where this is going at all, Barry.
Well, I've been getting up to no good on a Wednesday night for some time now. It's about time I come clean about it. We've got a family of 4 here, quite a big family, and with that comes a lot of rubbish. And Thursday morning is bin day, Malcolm, and I'm regularly struggling to get all of the rubbish that we have into our one bin. So on a Wednesday night, I have to wait till very late to put the bin out. And the next door neighbour's like a pensioner, and she's on her own.
Oh.
I have a lot of rubbish, Malcolm. So I go out under the cover of darkness, put a woolly hat on, scarf around my face, and that. Sneak a bag or two in a bin. What do you think about that? Is that acceptable behaviour?
No, not really, Barry. This is it's people like you why community and society is really struggling at the moment, Barry.
Right. But I don't know if she'd mind. I think if I knocked on the door and asked her and said,
"Well, exactly, do that."
It's a bit of a funny thing to say. I've noticed you haven't been filling your bin up very much. Why have you been looking at my bin? I tell you what. I had a problem last week. Christmas had been around, and she'd clearly must have had family round or something because it was full. So I've already wheeled out my full bin. I normally do that about now, 10 o'clock, and then about midnight I'll go out with me extra bag to put in hers. So it goes all the way down, opens a bin. There's nothing. There's no room. So I'm stood there with an extra bag that won't fit in my bin. It won't fit in her bin, and I'm looking around the street thinking, "Who's the next likely?" And then I ended up having to just try and squash it into mine, so I had the lid right up like that. So I was a bit. I felt like that was the point where I could have knocked on her door and said, "You sort of stitched us up a little bit this week. Can you cut back on your rubbish? Because I need to use that." But yeah,
does she live by herself? Right?
She lives by herself. Yeah.
Is she your immediate neighbour?
She is.
And do you not know her name? You wouldn't know
her name, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to put it out on here. Like, she might not want to be named. I'm fairly confident if I shouted over the fence and said, would you mind if I used your bin every now and then? She has offered before with the garden bins. Sometimes I don't pay for my garden bin because you have to pay extra to have your grass collected. And sometimes she'll say, do you want to put your grass in my bin? I've started paying for my bin now because that's a bit shameful, isn't it? Making the old woman next door pay for it and then putting your garden waste in her bin. So I have been shamed into that. I'm sure I should be fine. But yeah, there you go. That's what I get.
Take her a little cake or a loaf of bread or something. If next time you're fannying about in the kitchen, make a little extra something and just take it round. That would be the community.
Just to clear my conscience. Just like, so don't mention anything, but just feel better in my conscience about it all.
Michael says this 920 to 1 Acker wins. He's going to come round personally and empty your bin for you. Oh shit! I'd love to see you in a high vis, Michael, with a wheelie bin on your back. We'll get that going. Right. Well, that was fascinating, Barry. I'm sure everyone's life is a lot more enriched for listening to your tales of bin action. Thank you, Barry. Don't forget to put your 94 quid for being late in the pot. Thank you, everyone who joined us in the chat. The chat was buzzing tonight. All sorts of names.
Make sure they all give a thumbs up.
Alex, Courtney. I missed a few. Brett was here. Tottenham Titbits. All sorts of people. So, yeah, thank you very much. We'll be back. What time on Sunday, Baz? Should we do this now? 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock Sunday, same as last Sunday.
10 o'clock on Sunday, not 10, not 10:10. 10 o'clock on Sunday. And we will pick over the bones of this 920 to 1 winner. Fantastic stuff. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Like, rate, review, thumbs up, all that shite. Back on Sunday, and we will see you down the road. Cheers.